Today we got up and we had a plan to go check out the Grand Palace in Bangkok. We've just heard a lot about it and we wanted to experience some of the culture while here. So we took a canal taxi to the last stop and then we were going to walk the 15 to 20 minutes to get to the Grand Palace from there. As soon as we got to the last stop and we got off, we were approached by this man who was in charge of all the tuk-tuks in that area. The man went on to explain how today is some kind of tax-free day and that the prices are lower. So he said it would cost us only 40 baht and the driver would take us to a few different spots, including the Grand Palace, which is where we wanted to go. So we decided to go ahead and just take the tuk-tuk around. This way we would see other things that we didn't plan on seeing, as well as see the Grand Palace, which was the reason we went out in the first place. Since we've never been to Bangkok before, we didn't really know which area to stay in since there's so many great spots. But I would highly recommend staying along the canal somewhere where you can walk to the canal and then take the canal taxi around because it's super convenient and inexpensive. So here we are in the tuk-tuk. We have our driver. The four of us fit in the tuk-tuk just fine. You do feel squished in there and very close to the edge, but it felt safe. The kids had lots of fun. It was definitely worth it. I mean, it was an amazing experience to do it this way instead of taking like a bus or a Grab app taxi. So the first place the driver takes you to is the smaller temple. When you get there, there's a monk, this really cute monk that was sitting outside, and there is a Buddha in there. So you basically take your shoes off, you go up, you make a wish, and then you hit the gong 3 times so the Buddha can hear it. That was all a pretty great experience. So as you come out after doing that, there's like this man that's standing there and he starts talking to you, going on about how he's visiting from Phuket and he's here because it's this amazing opportunity to buy rubies since there's no tax on rubies this week, I guess, and it only happens twice a year. So if it wasn't obvious already, at this point it becomes pretty obvious that it's a scam. And I mean, who goes on about rubies for that long? Then we walked back to our tuk-tuk and our driver took us to 2 shops. The first was a jewelry shop, which you walk through, you see the different rubies since it's this amazing opportunity where you don't have to pay tax on it. So it's a really great time to buy. But it was pretty awkward since we weren't interested in shopping and we basically walked through the store and got out. So after the jewelry shop, he ended up taking us to a tailor, which is quite popular here. People do like to go and get a suit made that's fitted. So we did walk in, we did tell them we're not interested in getting a suit. They wanted to do our measurements and all of that, but we said we're not interested. They seemed a bit irritated, but whatever, we just kept going. So our next stop, and ended up being our last stop actually, we went to a temple where we saw a very big Buddha. There were fountains, lots of buildings you can walk into, little shops where you can buy things, I think just mainly for offerings to the Buddha. There's all kinds of statues of monks. There's definitely a lot to see, and it was a pretty great experience. We really liked walking around and seeing everything. We just freely walked around the grounds, looked at everything. All along the edge, there is an area where they have what look like urns and photos of people. So there's a lot of that all around the entire place. Aside from being hot, which has been basically every day since we got here, unless we're inside a mall or some kind of store. There were not many people walking around, so it's not like it was huge crowds. We could just walk around, look at things that we wanted to, and move on. We ended up entering one of the buildings there just to see what was inside. It's beautiful on the outside and then the inside as well. So much detail. The ceiling was gold and it had all this design all over it. I'm not sure if it was hand painted. And then when we walked outside, we saw the big Buddha. It was next to the fountain there. So we walked around a bit more. We walked into another one of the little buildings that had a monk in there and people praying. And then we went back to our tuk-tuk driver, and he did say that since we were in the shop such a short period of time, that he didn't get the coupons, I guess, that he gets from the businesses that cover his gas. So if we want to keep going and we wanted to go to the Grand Palace, we would have to pay him 200 baht more. So we decided to just go back to where we started with him and decide what we want to do from there. And I guess technically we did get scammed, but we only paid him 40 baht, which was just over $1. We got to drive around all over the city to places we never would have known to go. So overall, it was still a pretty great day.